all everybody's talking about is Claude. The US government is fighting over who gets to use it. Formula One teams are building with it, and every finance team that's seen it working wants it. Meanwhile, you're sitting there drowning in work, haven't had time to check it out. You might be leaving serious productivity on the table. So if you stick around for the next 10 minutes, you might be able to turn that around. I've never felt this productive in my entire life. After learning about Claude Skills, my prompts went from this to this, and the results are blowing my mind. If I could build my dream FP&A team, here's who I'd hire first: an FP&A communications lead. She owns every piece of communication that leaves the finance team. Emails to leadership, board presentations, monthly reports. She knows my tone, my formatting preferences, which charts to work with which analysis. She's sharp at data visualization and business communications. Nothing leaves her desk that isn't clear, concise, and on point. But if I ask her to write an email explaining why COGS blew the budget, she doesn't guess the numbers. She walks over to my variance analyst and she says, "Give me the drivers." My variance analyst knows exactly how to run the analysis. But if the variance is sales related, he calls my sales FP&A partner to get the pipeline context. If it's a headcount issue, he calls my HR FP&A analyst to understand the hiring plan. And the sales FP&A partner, when she needs to compare pipeline to forecast, she checks with the forecasting analyst who manages the rolling forecast and knows the seasonality patterns. Each person has a specific role. They know their processes, they know exactly who to hand off to. This would be an incredible team. It would also be so expensive. Not anymore. A Claude Skill works the same way. You give Claude a set of instructions, how to think, what to ask, where to find what it is, and it executes like a specialist. The communications lead, that's a skill. The variance analyst, that's a skill. The forecasting specialist, that's a skill. Each one focused, each one trained, and just like a real team, they can call on each other. Let me show you what this looks like. So I built a communications skill. It handles every way I communicate at work. Emails, presentations, charts, reports. Notice the structure. One main file, skill MD, and it references my audience, it references my email templates, my presentations, each template on its own file. Every skill starts with a YAML header. That's the name of the skill, the description, and some trigger words. This is how Claude knows when to activate it. When I say draft an email or build a presentation, Claude matches those triggers and loads this skill. Now it doesn't load everything at once. And the way I structure this folder, it's going to save you real money. You see exactly how in a minute. But first, let me explain something that most people get wrong about Claude: tokens. Every time Claude reads something, your prompt, your skill, your files, it costs tokens. Think of a token as roughly one word. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Let's not get into that detail. More tokens in, more cost, slower response. And here's what frustrates people. You're in the middle of a great conversation with Claude, everything is working, and suddenly it tells you your context is full. You have to start over. All that momentum gone. That happens because every message, every file, every skill instruction sits inside a context window. It's finite. And if your skills are bloated, if you're loading everything every time, you're eating up that window before you even start working. That's why this folder structure matters. Remember the YAML header I just showed you? That's level 1. Claude only reads the name and description, maybe 100 tokens per skill. That's it. Then level 2, your request matches the trigger. Now Claude is going to load the main skill file, maybe 500 tokens. Then it comes to level 3. The task needs a specific template. Only then does Claude open that one reference file. Not all of them, just the one it needs. 10 skills loaded at level 1, about 1,000 tokens. If everything is loaded at once, it's 50,000 plus. That's the difference between a skill that scales and one that kills your context window halfway through the conversation. Now, inside this skill, there's one section that completely changed how Claude writes for me. Let me show you. Communication principles. All inputs follow those rules. Lead with the points. The first sentence answers what the reader needs to know. Be concise. Remove every word that doesn't add meaning. Action-oriented. Audience-aware. Those are the things that I want Claude to do, and I wanted to think about the reader and the audience before it even starts to respond. That completely changed the way I got the response from Claude. But before Claude writes anything, it asks, who is the audience? What is the context? What should they do about it? That's a skill. Let me show you what happens when you actually use it. I got this skill loaded in a project. This one is a general communications project, but it could be any project that I want to have the skill of communicating right. So this one, I'm going to write right here, draft a reply to Sarah's email about Q3 budget review. And let's see how he responds. So he needs a little bit of context. So he asks me, who is Sarah? What is my relationship with her? So I'll answer here. She's my VP of operations. We work closely together. She's been pushing back on the budget timeline. She wants more time for her team to review. I need her to commit to the original deadline. Keep it professional, but firm. So let's see how he is going to respond that. So he's got the essential and he's already preparing a draft for me. So look how cool. He wrote a draft with two options. One that I am holding firm about the deadlines and the other one that I am offering a compromise. So I can choose which one and I can even send already on my email. Now this is cool that he could quickly get to an email that it's actually very useful and very well written, the way I like it to have it written. That's the skill doing the work. I gave the context, very small, but I gave some context and it gave me a finished email, but I still had to answer those questions. Imagine if Claude didn't have to ask me. Imagine if it could just access my email, read the whole thread with Sarah, check my CRM, see the deal stage, pull the communication preferences, and draft that reply without me saying a word about who she is. That's Claude Code. Same skill, but now Claude has access to your system. Let me show you. So you see here that over here, Claude has access to your CRM, to your email, to your files. With one command, Claude reads the threads, checks the client history, pulls the context. So here you can see all of the email templates inside the skill. This is the same skill, by the way, guys. This is the same skill that I showed you, the communication skills. I have other skills here. I have a board reporting. I have a bank reconciliation, presentations, data validation, but this one is the same that I had in my project in Claude Chat, and it's going to do the same way. But now with this here, I also have access to MCP servers, my email, my CRM, and I can let Claude go ahead and do all the work for me, all of the research, and he doesn't have to ask me anything. 10 clients waiting for replies, same skill, same quality. You just review and send, but both Chat and Code still need me to start. I have to say, do this. What if I didn't even have to ask? That's CoWork. CoWork is the desktop agent. It works directly on your files. It reads them, it writes them, and create new ones. I can set up a scheduled task every Monday morning, check the report folders, pull the latest actuals, run the variance analysis, write the commentary, format the report. Then I come back from my first meeting and it's done. Or I drop a pile of raw data into a folder, open CoWork and say, turn this into a board package. Claude figures out the steps, run them, and I come back to a finished deliverable. So you can see here, when I want to customize Claude CoWork, I will see the place to put the same skills. So the same skills I have on Chat, I have on Code, I can also have here on CoWork. And when I say do something, when I schedule a task, it's going to use that skill and it's going to reply the emails or at least write the draft for me. So same skills, you build them once and the environment decides how much Claude does on its own. If this is giving you ideas, subscribe. I'm building a full series on this. One last thing, and this is the most important part of the video. A skill is only as good as a process behind it. If you cannot explain how you do the variance analysis step by step, Claude won't be able to do it either. The skill doesn't replace your thinking, it captures it. Process first, then the skill, and then the automation. If this changed how you think about working with AI, subscribe, hit the bell, and select all notifications. I'm building a full series on skills for finance, and I'll see you in the next one.